Around 300 BC, in the city of Cyprus, there lived a wealthy merchant named Zeno. During a sea voyage from Phoenicia to Piraeus, disaster struck. His ship sank, taking with it all of his cargo and wealth. In a single moment, Zeno lost everything. Years of hard work, all his fortune, gone, swallowed by the sea. It was an event entirely beyond his control. A cruel reminder of how quickly life can change. Now imagine you were in his position. How would you react to losing everything in an instant? Would you be angry, devastated? Would you feel life had betrayed you? For most people, these reactions would be natural. But not for Zeno. Instead of falling into despair, Zeno chose a different path. He didn't curse his fate. He didn't dwell in bitterness. That very moment of loss became the turning point that led him to a profound realization and eventually to the creation of one of the most influential schools of philosophy, Stoicism. What crushed others shaped him, and from the wreckage, a new wisdom was born. A single shift in perspective can echo through the rest of your life. Sometimes, it takes just one subtle change in mindset to set off a series of profound transformations. What begins as a small inner adjustment can eventually shape the entire course of who you become. At its essence, Stoicism is about acceptance, not passive resignation, but a powerful, active acceptance of reality. It teaches a kind of focused indifference, not to stop caring, but to stop being controlled by things we cannot change. After immersing himself in the teachings of Socrates and other thinkers of his time, Zeno laid the foundation of Stoic philosophy. His core insight: while we can't dictate what life throws at us, we can choose how we respond. And in that choice lies our greatest strength. Instead of lamenting over what was lost, be it spilled milk or sunken cargo, Zeno chose clarity over chaos. He stayed grounded, centered, and composed, even in the face of disaster. Today, Stoics are often seen as people who are unshakable, immune to emotional extremes, untouched by fear or fury. But the true Stoic ideal goes far beyond emotional suppression. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about understanding the world with clarity and responding to it with wisdom. Stoicism was never meant to be just a label for calmness. It was, and still is, a complete way of living. A framework for facing adversity with grace. And even now, thousands of years later, its wisdom remains deeply relevant. By embracing Stoic principles, we gain the tools to transform hardship into insight, pain into purpose. We learn not just to survive difficult moments, but to grow through them, and to see the world with eyes that are steady, open, and wise. Perspective shapes everything, and because no two lives are the same, no two perspectives are ever truly identical. Each person sees the world through the lens of their own unique experiences. The early Stoics understood this well. That's why they didn't teach behind closed doors or reserve philosophy for the elite. They met in open spaces, like the Stoa Poikile in Athens, where anyone could listen, question, and learn. Their teachings weren't meant to be hidden in ivory towers. They were meant to be lived, shared, and spread across all levels of society. To the Stoics, wisdom wasn't a privilege, it was a right. Whether slave or emperor, rich or poor, man or woman, anyone could practice Stoicism, and many did. Some of history's most iconic Stoics came from drastically different walks of life. Epictetus, whose name means acquired, was born into slavery. Seneca, a brilliant writer and advisor to Nero, was a man of politics and power. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, ruled the Roman Empire with one hand while writing Meditations with the other. What united them wasn't status, wealth, or background. It was the shared pursuit of virtue and inner strength. The Stoics didn't believe in division. In fact, they stood firmly against inequality. They coined the term cosmopolitan, literally meaning citizen of the world, to express the idea that we are all part of one human family. Today, when we hear cosmopolitan, we think of cities like New York, London, or Dubai, places filled with diverse cultures and people. That's the vision the Stoics had centuries ago. A world where unity transcends identity. At a time when women were excluded from philosophical circles, the Stoics took a different stance. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, boldly declared that the pursuit of virtue is not exclusive to men. He wrote, "It is not men alone who possess a natural desire for virtue, but women too. If men are encouraged to examine how to live well, why shouldn't women be as well?" Even when it was unpopular, Stoicism welcomed women into its fold, offering them the same freedom to grow, learn, and live with wisdom. So why has Stoicism endured through the centuries? Why do so many still turn to it today? Because life is unpredictable. Because emotions, when left unchecked, can cloud judgment and overwhelm us. And because Stoicism gives us something powerful in return: the ability to face chaos with calm, to meet adversity with clarity, and to live, not react, through every moment life throws our way. In truth, we're not usually upset simply because something bad happens. We're upset because something bad happened unexpectedly. Take rain, for example. On its own, rain is a blessing. It nourishes crops, replenishes reservoirs, and cools the air. But if you're caught in a downpour without an umbrella, soaked to the skin, it feels far from pleasant. So why don't we cry every time it rains? Because we expect it. We know rain is a part of life. It's inconvenient at times, yes, but it's natural. We've come to accept that it's out of our control. And because of that acceptance, we no longer see it as a catastrophe. That's the heart of Stoicism. Learning to anticipate hardship, not with fear, but with readiness. Stoics teach us that suffering often comes not from the event itself, but from our surprise at its arrival. If we prepare our minds for the worst-case scenario, it won't devastate us when it arrives. Instead, we'll face it with calm, knowing it's not a betrayal of life, it is life. One powerful Stoic practice is called voluntary discomfort. The idea is simple. Temporarily deprive yourself of comfort to strengthen gratitude and resilience. Sleep without a bed. Take cold showers instead of warm ones. Eat only basic food like plain rice or potatoes for a few days. These exercises aren't about punishment, they're about perspective. They teach us that even without luxury, we can endure, we can still live well. And when we return to our comforts, we appreciate them more deeply. In today's world, where advertisements constantly bombard us with the message that we need more possessions, more status, more beauty, it's easy to feel that we're not enough, that happiness lies just beyond the next purchase. But Stoicism offers a different message. True strength comes from within. It reminds us that happiness isn't found in chasing comfort, but in learning to thrive without it. And in that stillness, we rediscover what really matters. We enter this world knowing almost nothing. As we grow, we learn from our families, from schools, and from our own experience navigating life. But here's the catch. These three sources often contradict each other. They each present different worldviews, different values, different definitions of success. So the real question is, must we accept and internalize everything we've ever been taught? If we do, we might unknowingly absorb unrealistic expectations, expectations that set us up for frustration, dissatisfaction, and even despair. That's no way to live. Instead, we should focus on self-improvement for its own sake. We should act not to impress others or meet some external benchmark, but simply to become better for ourselves. When we tie our actions to outside validation or hidden motives, disappointment is usually right around the corner. Too often, we try to fill the resulting emptiness with external things, buying an expensive car, chasing a big house, or even building a family, not always because we truly value those things, but because we've been told they represent success or fulfillment. But Stoicism warns us, when you base your happiness on anything external, you give that thing the power to control you. And external things can fail. Cars break, houses can be destroyed, relationships can fall apart. Even the things we get for free come with costs, mental clutter, stress, or loss of time and space. Seneca once wrote, "Learning to live with less will create space in your life for the things that truly matter." The Stoic path asks us to anchor happiness not in possessions or outcomes, but in our character, in who we are and how we respond to the world. Because ultimately, we control so little in life. We can't control the weather, other people's behavior, or random events, but we can control our attitude, our choices, and our responses. That's the foundation of the dichotomy of control, one of Stoicism's most important ideas. As Epictetus put it, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. This mindset gives us clarity. It teaches us to stop chasing validation from things we can't control and instead measure our worth by what we can influence: our thoughts, our discipline, our effort. Ambition isn't bad, setting goals isn't foolish, but to fall apart when things don't go your way, from a Stoic perspective, that's wasted energy. Take YouTube, for example. Creating videos might not be as demanding as ruling an empire, but it still requires effort and emotional investment. You spend time brainstorming, researching, scripting, recording, editing, designing thumbnails, writing titles, all things fully within your control. But the moment you hit upload, the outcome is no longer yours to command. Whether the algorithm picks it up, whether people watch, like, or share, that's all external. Many creators let their self-worth rise and fall with their view count. But the Stoic approach says, judge the success of your work not by views, likes, or subscribers, but by the quality of your effort and your intention behind it. Because if you gave it your all, you've already succeeded. Trust the process. To live with less is to free yourself from the invisible chains of societal expectation, the ones we often lock ourselves into. Imagine someone who's worked diligently at their job for 6 months. They believe they've earned a promotion, so they present their achievements to their manager. The response? A polite, "Thank you," but no promotion. Instantly, self-doubt creeps in. Maybe I'm just not good enough. But what if the decision had nothing to do with his performance? Maybe the boss was simply having a bad day. Maybe someone else was slightly more qualified. Maybe the company was under financial strain. There could be countless reasons beyond his control, but he assumes it was all about him. Now imagine if he had focused solely on what he could control: his effort, his attitude, his work ethic. If his self-worth came from the quality of what he did, not what he received, he wouldn't spiral into disappointment. The goal wouldn't be lost, only delayed. That shift in mindset is everything. This is what Stoicism teaches. Don't tie your happiness to outcomes beyond your control. A true Stoic doesn't measure success by external rewards like money or recognition, but by inner peace and integrity. They find comfort in knowing they can live well, even without the things money promises. At the heart of Stoicism are 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Wisdom is the ability to discern what is in our control and what is not, and to respond, not react. As Viktor Frankl wrote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Courage is summarized in 2 simple words: persist and resist. Persist through hardship, resist what's wrong. Temperance is moderation, knowing when enough is enough, like how one can say more with fewer words, live better with fewer things. While billionaires compete for the top of the Forbes list, Stoics believe true wealth lies in having what is essential, and knowing when you already have it. Justice, perhaps the most important virtue, is about doing what is right, not for oneself, but for others. We are, as Stoics say, born for each other. To harm another is to go against our very nature. Consider Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for 27 years under South Africa's apartheid regime. Many assumed that upon his release and rise to power, He would seek vengeance, but he didn't. Instead, he advocated for peace, unity, and national healing. What many don't know is that during those long years in prison, Mandela read the works of Marcus Aurelius and absorbed the teachings of Stoicism. He embraced the Stoic principle that we cannot change the past, we can only choose how we respond to it. And he chose reconciliation over revenge. This isn't just philosophy, it's practice, it's mindset, it's medicine. Modern therapies like rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT, and logotherapy are rooted in Stoic ideas. REBT, for instance, helps individuals recognize and challenge irrational beliefs that fuel emotional distress. It encourages people to use reason and logic to reframe their thoughts, and in doing so, reshape their lives. Because when you realize that many of your fears, frustrations, and insecurities are based on faulty assumptions, you free yourself. You begin replacing negativity with clarity. And that, in essence, is the Stoic way. Mastering your mind, so that the world cannot master you. Logotherapy, in contrast, builds on a powerful Stoic principle that human beings are fundamentally driven by purpose. Even in our darkest moments, when everything feels lost or broken, we still have the capacity to find meaning. And through that meaning, we can rediscover happiness, resilience, and a reason to keep going. Of course, this is easier said than done. Finding purpose is not a switch you flip, it's a process, a journey, and like all meaningful journeys, it requires change. It requires us to unlearn old patterns of thought and rebuild our inner world. Out with the old, in with the intentional. To fix what's broken in our pursuit of happiness, we must begin by strengthening our sense of self-worth. That means learning to define our value not by things we can't control, status, success, other people's opinions, but by the things we can, our integrity, our actions, our mindset. When we redirect our focus in this way, we free ourselves from the anxiety and disappointment that come from chasing what's always out of reach. We return to a place of balance, fulfillment, peace. Stoicism, at its core, isn't about avoiding hardship, it's about navigating it. It helps us sail through the storms of life, past regrets, present challenges, and future uncertainty, toward calmer, more meaningful waters. And if, in the end, our ship sinks and we don't make it to shore, Stoicism offers this comfort, that we lived well. Even if our life wasn't as long as we hoped, it was true, it was purposeful, and it was ours. Because above all, nothing lasts forever. And that's not a tragedy, it's a reminder to live wisely, live fully, and let go of the illusion of control.